Well, thank you everybody for joining today. My name is Geoffrey Urbach. I'm a partnerships manager at Rubicon and work primarily with cities in California and across the West Coast. And before I dive into the presentation today, I just wanted to first give a little bit of background about our company, um, and and then we'll get into it. So, a little bit about Rubicon for context. We have been around for a little over 12 years, and one of the most unique attributes about our company is that we are a tech company that was born out of the waste and recycling industry. Uh, our mission as a company is a simple one. It is also a lofty one. It's to end waste. And what we mean by that is not only physical waste, but also wasted time, wasted money, and wasted energy. And we go about executing upon this mission in a few different ways. So where we got started was on the commercial side of the business, where we manage the waste and recycling portfolios for Fortune 500 companies on down to small and medium-sized businesses in every state in the country and over 22 countries around the globe. A lot of these companies you'd be familiar with, such as all of the Best Buys, Dollar Generals, Starbucks, to name a few. But we realized if we wanted to fully execute upon this mission to end waste, we needed to expand beyond commercial and focus on our municipal and residential offerings as well. And so a little over 3 years ago, we ported over the best aspects of our technology from the commercial side and adapted them for municipal offerings. And we did that in a few different ways. Primarily, we met with public works departments across the country to understand where the pain points were and build our tech around that and design a truly all-in-one platform that provides end-to-end service. To date, on the smart city side, rolled out in nearly 60 cities across the country. And actually our cities team is based in New York. I know you all just recently finished up lunch, so I'm gonna try to keep the energy high here as we continue going through this. One other piece about Rubicon that I'm particularly proud about is the fact that we are a certified B Corporation or benefit corporation. You may be familiar with some of these companies, including Ben & Jerry's and Patagonia. Certified B Corporations are businesses that meet the highest standards of verified social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability to balance profit and purpose. I'm proud to say that Rubicon's one of the largest and longest certified B corporations in the world. My background is in public administration. I have to say Rubicon's B Corp status was a big part of what brought me to the company, and it speaks to the way that we go about doing business. I believe that public-private partnerships structured properly can help solve for the problems that face our communities. And one way we go about creating these partnerships is by providing cities with cost-free, no obligation pilot opportunities to test out our tech and make sure it's working to solve for your needs. So I just want to say at the top, if you or your department is interested in learning more about our pilots, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly or through our website at rubicon.com. Rubicon also partners with the Arbor Day Foundation to plant trees across the country to not only help execute on our mission to end waste, but to actively work to rebuild our environment. We made the decision a few years ago to reduce our waste footprint by no longer giving away our plastic tchotchkes at conferences to better align with our environmental and B Corp mission. Although I have to say our desktop waste bins and fidget spinners were a very hot commodity. So it rubbed a few people the wrong way, but we think we're doing the right thing with that decision. So I just wanted to mention to please take a minute to fill out your information at the link on the screen, and we will plant a tree in Yosemite National Park on your behalf. The Arbor Day Foundation actually sends certificates out, which is why they require your information. All right, so here we are, March 2021, over a year into this pandemic, which is truly hard to believe. And we hear often about the new normal. Well, the new normal implies that things have gotten worse. And in the world of public works departments, in many ways, they have. Hollers have high COVID exposure, cities are experiencing budget crises, and communities have backpedaled on their sustainability commitments. But while the pandemic has been raging, technology innovation has progressed by leaps and bounds. You see this with virtual meetings, food delivery, and vaccine distribution, among many other areas. What I'd like to discuss with you today is what this can mean for public works departments, and specifically for solid waste, recycling, and streets operations. In 2021, the better new normal means sustainable recovery and technology innovation. For sustainable recovery, how do we build back better? How can cities prepare to meet the needs of future crises? Given the impact of COVID on city budgets, how do governments continue investing in the future and delivering even better customer service to their residents? And how do those investments factor into the city's overall carbon footprint and sustainability mission? Fortunately, there's been a lot of technology innovation, but how can tech be utilized for good? Tech is empowering us to work remotely, uncover cost efficiencies, and gather critical data about operations, improving both transparency and service. And while I fully recognize that these concepts are not new, they are critical concepts that need to be routinely evaluated to ensure that your operations will remain ahead of the curve and resilient to future shocks. Today, I'm going to speak to what I know, and that's Rubicon's tech offerings, and how we've been helping our city partners recognize a better normal. And I want to start by providing an overview of our company and our technology in particular. So we built our tech with the idea of A, limiting the number of systems required to run your operations, and B, providing cross-departmental insights and data to reduce wasted time, money, and energy. Currently, we do this through our two primary tech offerings, the first being Rubicon Smart City, and the second being Rubicon Vision. All of what you see on the screen right now comprises both of these systems. At a very high level, Rubicon Smart City is comprised of Rubicon X in the bottom left-hand corner and Rubicon Y. Rubicon X is what we call our in-cab interface. Drivers take this with them on a day-to-day basis. And it layers on top of Rubicon Y, which is a telematics device that is providing a whole host of information about your vehicles. And they work together to verify service at particular addresses, again, and gather all of that vehicle and driver behavior information. And it reports it back to what we call our portal, which you see in the background there. I'm going to dive into each of these components in more detail, but again, just very high level right now, Rubicon X and Y. Rubicon Smart City is the first piece of technology that we are going to cover in this presentation today. And then we're going to move to Rubicon Vision, which is comprised of the front-facing high-definition camera that you see in the bottom right-hand corner, as well as a in-cab computer that incorporates machine learning and artificial intelligence to process the images from that camera on the edge. And we're running a whole host of different features through Rubicon Vision to help your sanitation and your streets and even your transportation teams unlock new city insights. And we will get to those towards the end of the presentation today. But both systems are constantly reporting back data, again, to our portal. So going back to the new normal, here's a great example from Fort Smith, Arkansas, one of our city partners. Fort Smith actually went live with Rubicon Smart City last March. Think about that, last March, where were we? So that fortuitous timing meant their sanitation team was able to go completely paperless, and supervisors, dispatchers, customer service could manage everything from home if they need it. A pivotal change. Future crises will mean that public works teams need to be able to adapt rapidly to changing situations, and smart technology enables full service, remote, paperless work. Diving into the components of the Rubicon Smart City system, we're going to start with Rubicon Y, also referred to as the pod, and it's a best-in-class telematics device plugged directly into a vehicle's onboard diagnostic port. The pod monitors and transmits critical data related to vehicle health, such as fault codes, vehicle location, and driver performance, including idle times, speeding incidents, hard braking, and hard accelerations. The better new normal empowers public works departments to provide preventative maintenance before issues arrive. And this is part of the type of information that we're gathering from that pod device. We know and we realize, as I'm sure you do, waste and recycling vehicles are some of the most expensive purchases public works departments make. Preventing just one en-route breakdown annually has the potential to save cities up to $50,000. Additionally, industry standard guidelines state that a single truck breakdown during a route will triple the repair costs. In one of our partner cities in Arkansas, data reported from our pod devices showed that just 6 trucks were responsible for 93% of critical fault codes, allowing for targeted preventative maintenance. The second component to the Rubicon Smart City system is what we call Rubicon X, or the in-cab interface. It's a customized smartphone. We typically use large iPhones or tablets, iPad minis, loaded with Rubicon's proprietary driver application. The device itself sits in a swivel mount on the dashboard inside the cab of the truck, and it's purposely designed to allow any driver to use it in any vehicle without hardwiring. The ICI verifies the collection service of an area in near real time, and it also provides drivers with multiple tools to enhance their daily workflow, of which I'll talk about just a few of those here and what's on the screen in front of you. So we're taking all of the information about your operations, including the route information, driver name, vehicle type and vehicle name, and it's pre-populating our system so that once drivers pick up the device, these devices are in ruggedized cases. They are charging overnight in charging stations that we provide. As mentioned earlier, any driver just picks up any of those devices. They would bring it to their vehicle for the day. They're going to tap that login screen in the top left-hand corner, and all of those fields are pre-populated, so they just simply touch it, drag down until they find their name, the vehicle, the route name. They would click start. And if a city prefers, we can set up their pre-trip report to automatically launch upon the driver clicking into their route. And we have a list based upon your pre-trip checks for the drivers to go through one by one and check if it's okay or not. You see a sample of what that pre-trip report looks like in the bottom left-hand screen. And at the end of the driver coming to finishing all of their pre-trip checks, they simply sign in a square on the signature page, click submit. That information comes back to the portal that can be viewed in real time. And then drivers, after they submit it, will be taken directly into an overview of their route. So in the middle image on the top row, you can see what that route overview looks like. Drivers will also be notified of any highlights along their routes, if there have been any new stops added, if there are any new notes to any particular stops along their route. And they won't have to touch the device or interact with the device whatsoever, as long as that resident has put their bin at the curb and there was no issue. The driver picked up that trash or recycling and they carried on to the next stop. They wouldn't have to interact with the device whatsoever for it to confirm that service took place at that location. The only time that drivers will have to interact is if there's an issue at the curb. We call it interaction by exception. So say, for instance, there's a broken bin, or the bin was not out, or there's overflowing trash. These are some of the most commonly reported problems in cities. So if a driver experiences one of those particular issues, they would tap in the top right-hand corner. If you look at the overview of route screen, they would tap our exception button. Once they tap that exception button, that's that yellow triangle with the exclamation point in it, it's going to bring them to the next exception screen, of which we have the most commonly reported exceptions from cities pre-populated. They would simply click on what that was. Maybe we'll call it overflowing bin. They would snap a picture of that, tie it to a particular address, click submit. It's going to go back to the portal, and they'll be able to carry on through the rest of their route. Now, as drivers drive to a disposal facility to dump the tonnage that they've picked up while along their route, we geofence each of those sites so that it automatically prompts them to enter weight ticket information upon driving into the geofence. So once they drive up to that location, they get automatic alerts on their phone. Hey, you need to take a picture of the weight ticket and enter in that weight ticket information. You can see that in the middle image on the bottom row of phones. And once they click submit, that information automatically goes to the portal, so you can see in real time that weight ticket information as well. The final feature I want to highlight on the ICI is the ability for route assistance. You can see the image there in the bottom right-hand corner, but this is used primarily if a vehicle breaks down en route, or say there's extensive traffic in an area and that driver might not be able to get through his route in time. They could click to request for assistance, and it's going to send out an alert to the drivers within the closest vicinity to where they're at, and they're going to be able to pick up additional stops just from that driver communication. So another way to really help their jobs on a day-to-day basis. The final piece I want to highlight about the ICI is about unlocking key city insights. So what do I mean by that? Well, we are Rubicon Smart City. Why do we call ourselves Rubicon Smart City? Well, first and foremost, think about the waste and recycling vehicle. These are some of the only vehicles in a city that go up and down every city street at least once a week. So what additional data can we gather given that information? How can we leverage those vehicles to go beyond just what they're meant to do, pick up the trash, but actually gain a whole host of other information about what's going on in the city. And so through the ICI, drivers can log particular city insights such as potholes, vacant cars, illegal dumping, graffiti, etc. And cities can get a real understanding of where these issues are taking place the most throughout the course of the city and be able to create remediation plans around that data. One example of this is the city of Santa Fe, New Mexico. They told their drivers for a period of 2 weeks, hey, whenever you go out, if you see graffiti, please just log that instance. We're going to do this campaign for 2 weeks. And after the conclusion of those couple of weeks, they had a really great understanding of where the graffiti hotspots were around the city. Now, going back to the concept of this better new normal, well, in the city of Spokane, Washington, that meant reducing printing costs by $25,000 and tracking extra setouts that created another $2 million in revenue. Government services were already becoming digitized, impacting how work gets done and how cities, staff, and citizens interact. Now the need is more urgent. Digitization is a critical component to city resilience. Rubicon's system, as you've seen through the past few slides, it digitizes route sheets, pre-post trip inspections, scale tickets, and route details, enabling cities like Spokane to remove paper from their operations and easily maintain, review, and analyze important customer, route, and vehicle information. Now, the final component to the Rubicon Smart City system is our portal. You can think of the portal as the brains of your operations. It's a password-protected, browser-based dashboard that helps centralize decision-making, provide operational oversight, and view all data related to Public Works Department's sanitation and streets operations. Rubicon X and Y, so that in-cab interface and the pod device, they're continuously reporting data back to the portal in near real time. Levels of access are configurable and provided to an unlimited number of users within the city. A few features of the portal I'm going to highlight briefly are that dispatchers are able to create new routes, make changes to recurring routes, reassign stops for the day or into the future, sequence routes in the most efficient order, and send out these changes to drivers in the field through their in-cab interface. Additionally, we're providing a whole host of enhanced customer service functionality within the portal. So with all of that customer and address information on the back end, say a customer calls in with a particular issue that they're experiencing, say they say that, you all didn't come to pick up the trash for the day. Well, that customer service agent, while they have that resident still on the phone, within typing the first few numbers and letters into the address line there and the filters, they're going to be able to automatically pull up that address and see what happened at that exact time at that particular location. So we can see perhaps if the bin was not out, but our driver was there at 8:11 in the morning. And while you have that resident on the line, you can let them know, not only was our driver there at 8:11 in the morning, but then they took a photo of that bin that's not out, and you can say, you're happy to download that image and send to them if they would like. But it's really powerful to be able to provide that level of transparency and that level of in-depth reporting back to the resident in real time. So the better new normal, again, this concept that we're talking about, truly provides customer service that's proactive rather than reactive and responsive in real time to residents' needs. Today's technology helps city partners have full visibility into their operations, empowering customer service reps to handle issues in real time, and managers to identify issues such as broken bins, potholes, or graffiti, and remediate them before a resident logs a complaint. For example, our partner in the city of Norfolk, Virginia, after implementation of Rubicon's technology, the city saw a 57% reduction in 311 calls related to missed pickups. Based on this reduction and other data from the city, we estimated over $100,000 in annual cost savings for the city if they just reduced the number of go-backs. One other functionality that Rubicon provides is our fleet optimization service, which is an end-to-end iterative and collaborative process that we conduct with our city partners. We do all the heavy lifting on our end, as optimization is a very complicated and time-consuming activity, but we do work on the front end throughout the entire process to get a real understanding of the type of constraints that you would be interested in solving for. And then we accomplish the optimization by looking at all of the city's routes offline and then providing the city with the tools required to keep them up to date and balanced. We designed our process to keep it as simple as possible for the city. Now, collection services are the largest single cost a city faces related to waste and recycling, and those costs are increasing year over year. Today's technology helps enable a better new normal by providing city partners the ability to monitor, analyze, and improve existing routes. For example, Atlanta was able to reduce its solid waste schedule from 5 days a week to 4. Through a full fleet optimization, we identified over $300,000 in annual cost savings. Switching gears a little bit, we're going to transition from what we just covered, which again was our Rubicon Smart City core technology, and talk about Rubicon Vision. This is our next generation of technology. It is cutting edge, and it is truly on the forefront of innovation for our industry. It requires no driver interaction whatsoever, and it consists of, again, that forward-facing high-definition camera that's installed to look out the front dash, and that's communicating directly with Rubicon Z, that ugly yellow brick there. That's actually a computer that's installed in the cab of the vehicle. It is incorporating machine learning and artificial intelligence, and it is processing images from that front-facing camera on the edge. So what we mean by that, it is actually processing the images that the camera is taking every few seconds, and then it is classifying them in the cab of the vehicle and reporting that data back to the portal. Now we run a number of different features through Rubicon Vision, and we're going to discuss a few of those here today. The first is strobe. So strobe is essentially a camera reel of snapshots. You can see on the map behind on this laptop all of these stops that service was confirmed at. That's what the green indicates. And then all of these purple arrows, those are breadcrumb trails. So with our core system, you could click on any of those breadcrumb trails. You'd be able to see where the vehicle was, how fast the vehicle was moving, etc. But with strobe, you're able to click in and see exactly what the driver was seeing at that particular point of the route. And that's really powerful, as you can scroll and see that highlight reel throughout their entire route. You get a real sense of what the driver's seeing on a day-to-day basis. And it also allows for enhanced customer service in the way that if an issue is reported, that customer service agent can look exactly where, where it was reported, and without the driver having had to have taken a photo or document that issue, they would have that secondary layer of evidence through strobe. The second Rubicon Vision feature that I'm going to talk about is our street sweeping service confirmation. So we built this feature because we believe that broom up and broom down did not go far enough in determining whether a street sweeper serviced a particular location or area or not. And so we went a step further by saying, every time the street sweeper comes off the curb, why is it coming off the curb? And for how long and at what position? And so we've trained the Rubicon vision computer to identify obstacles. These obstacles include vehicles, pedestrians, construction zones. Our partner city in Fort Collins even wanted us to classify basketball hoops that are out on the street. Apparently that's a big issue in Fort Collins. And so we trained the model to look for basketball hoops. If you can see on the portal in the background there, each of those yellow flags indicates that obstacles were detected through strobe. The green areas indicate that service was taking place. And wherever you see red, the vehicle came off the street. And so what the Rubicon Vision computer is doing is analyzing for those obstacles. As we can see 3 of them here. Now these are photos that are pulled from the portal. The first, you can see the obstacle detected was a vehicle at 1:41 p.m. In the middle, you can see is a vehicle as well as a person detected. And then the final obstacle was a sign in a construction zone. The next feature I want to highlight with Rubicon Vision is our overflowing bin model. So with overflowing bins, your waste and recycling vehicles just continue on their regular route through the course of the day. And that forward-facing camera is snapping those photos, and every time the lid is open and the bin is overflowing with trash, the Rubicon Vision computer is automatically classifying those at the particular address. It's sending those images back into our portal where you can run reports, get a sense of where all of the overflowing bins are throughout your city. It's particularly valuable for cities that run pay-as-you-throw programs. It also really offers an opportunity if there's repeat offenders to maybe reach out to right-size their bins or provide targeted education where needed. The last feature I wanted to highlight through Rubicon Vision is our pothole detection feature. And again, this is the forward-facing camera. We have the in-cab computer. Those vehicles are running their daily routes, and we are leveraging that existing asset to look for potholes specifically. So we have analyzed thousands upon thousands of pothole images to differentiate between shadows and oil slicks. It's a very difficult thing, actually, to identify just what exactly is a pothole. And it sends those immediately back to the portal with the geo coordinates of where all of those potholes were located, as well as the number. And at each instance, you can see a picture and pull that up for use for remediation for either your transportation or your streets team who handles the pothole remediation. So again, what we are solving for as a company is building that all-in-one solution so that you're not having to have multiple vendors providing multiple different information, whether that's about your pre and post trip reporting, to your fleet management, to just being able to change routes and update routes. We provide all of that in one single solution. So truly appreciate you all taking the time today to learn more about Rubicon and how we're helping to shape the better normal. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly if you have any additional questions. or you're interested in learning more about our cost-free pilot opportunities. Also, don't forget to enter your information so that we can plant a tree on your behalf. The link is there on the screen for you as well. It was a pleasure to meet you all and hope you have a great rest of the conference. Thank you.